They thought she was just another quiet palace maid, small, polite, forgettable. But on the eve of the moon ceremony, when the royal stores kept vanishing and the halls began to whisper, fear raced through Olam. What nobody knew was that the king's jealous brother had used forbidden craft to silence her forever by turning her into a chicken. But this was no ordinary curse. What happened next would break open a plot to steal the throne, unmask a circle of bribed councilmen, and prove that a single word scratched in dust can change a kingdom. Because sometimes the smallest looking creature carries the loudest truth, and sometimes the chicken pecking in the courtyard is not a bird at all, but justice in disguise. This is the story of how one man's greed tried to choke a nation, and how the truth, carried by a quiet prince and a brave maiden, fought its way back into the light. Before we dive deeper into this epic tale, we'd love to know where you are watching from. Tell us in the comments. And if you love high-stakes fantasy filled with mermaids, magic, love, and sacrifice, don't just watch, be part of our adventure. Like this video, share it with someone who loves powerful stories, and hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow, we've got an extra special story lined up for you, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. The King of Olam could not stand for long now. He sat on the carved chair near the open window. Warm wind came through the cloth screen and brought the smell of red earth and cooking smoke. His hands shook when he lifted his drink. His eyes were kind, but tired. The royal priests stood in a line. They wore simple white cloth. One priest spoke. His voice was low and steady. "Great king," he said, "the drum of time is soft. We heard a sign in the night. Only the son who finds wisdom in unlikely places shall save the kingdom. You must choose by the next full moon." The king nodded. He looked at his 3 sons. Prince Okoma stood tall and wide. He liked spears, drums, and loud plans. Prince Darren had quick eyes and a smile that did not always reach his eyes. He liked numbers, coins, and smooth words. Prince Tade stood a little behind them. He was lean and quiet. He watched more than he spoke. "I give you 1 moon," the king said. "Not strength. Wisdom." That evening, the sun fell like a red gourd behind the palace wall. Drums rolled over the courtyards. Okoma called to captains. Darren met council men and passed little bags that clinked. Tade walked alone. He heard a sound. Tap. 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 It came from the back path near the cooking place. It was not drum. It was not foot. It was small and careful, like a spoon on a clay bowl. Tade stopped and listened. The sound stopped. He waited. Wind pushed a thin snake of white smoke out of a soot-stained niche in the clay wall. He kept walking. At dawn the next day, the palace woke slowly. A rooster called. Water pots clinked. Tade stepped into the small courtyard with red laterite soil. There was a rough wooden post wrapped with coir rope. Near it, a golden buff hen stood very still. Its eyes were bright and wet, not like other hens. The hen took 3 short steps. Tap. 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 The right claw dragged across the dust. Then again. Then a short line down. Tade stared. The letters were clear. "Help me." Tade's chest felt tight. He did not shout. He did not run. He went down on one knee to see better. The red dust showed tiny ridges on each stroke, as if a careful hand had made them. The hen looked up at him. He saw a tear gather and roll along the smooth edge of the eye. It fell and made a dark spot in the dust. Tade spoke, soft and slow. "I hear you." He took some grain from a small bag on his belt. He poured the grain into his palm and held it out. The hen turned its head and stepped back. It would not eat. Tade thought. He stood, walked to the cooking place, and asked the cook for small pieces of yam that were left from last night. He came back with the yam on a leaf. He set the leaf on the ground and stepped away. The hen moved fast then. It pecked and ate. Tade watched, eyes wide, heart steady. "Not grain," he said. "Cooked food. Human taste. He looked around. The courtyard was empty, but he felt as if eyes were in the cracks. Servants had been whispering, missing food, small taps at night, a hen that walked like a person. He did not want to make noise. He said only, "I will return after sunset," and left the rest of the yam. That morning, Okoma filled the training yard with men and shouts. He swung a spear, and the men cheered. "Order," he cried. "Strong hands. That is wisdom." Drums thumped. Darren walked the council hall in a smooth cloth with a neat pattern. He pressed small coin bags into certain hands. "Peace," he said softly. "Let us help the king with calm." A few men laughed. A few looked at the floor. Tade went to the old shade tree near the archive. Elder Ikena, the royal historian, sat there, mending an old book string with careful fingers. His hair was gray and short. Ink stained his fingertips. His smile was kind. "Tade," the elder said. "Your eyes are hot. You have seen a sign." Tade sat on the mat. "I saw a hen write words in the dust," he said. He told the elder about the cooked yam, the wet eyes, and the 3 taps. The elder did not laugh. He looked at the earth and drew 3 small dots in a row with his finger. Then he stood, waved for Tade to follow, and led him into the archive room. The room smelled like paper and oil and time. Scrolls lay in rows. Small lamps slept in their shelves. Ikena pulled a short scroll with a bird mark on the cap. He opened it on the table. The lines were simple drawings: a woman with long braids, a jealous man with a sharp face, a sun ring on a throne, and a small bird at the foot of the throne. In the old days, the elder said, the king's brother, Varko, wanted a maiden named Maya. Maya said no. Varko was a man who could not hear the word no, he spoke a curse. Maya became a chicken and could not speak with a human mouth. She could only make small signs. Varko ran away into the dark hills. People thought Maya was gone. But the old story says she would stay near the seat of power. The palace is the seat. Tade touched the drawing of the ring. "How can the curse break?" he asked. The elder pointed to a small symbol of a hand and a throne. He read slowly. "A ring must be taken from the throne without greed. Truth must be spoken in that same hall. Then the feathers fall." He looked at Tade. "Without greed. That is the hard part." Tade whispered, "Without greed," and felt the words sit heavy and good inside him. "Do not speak of this in crowds," the elder said. "Many ears are hungry. Watch. Listen. Return to me at sunset." Tade left the archive and walked back to the small courtyard. The yam leaf was empty. The dust letters were still there. He knelt and smoothed the ground with his palm, then drew a tiny arrow pointing to a flat spot. He placed another piece of cooked yam there and sat in the shade. Tap. 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 The hen came from behind the clay water pot. It moved with care, as if it did not want to scare the ground. It pecked the yam. Tade kept still. The hen looked at him, then at the dust. It scratched again. Tade saw a short word begin to appear: cellar. Then another word: door. Tade stood and bowed his head a little. "Thank you," he said. That afternoon, Tade walked to the food cellar with Saad, a young woman who worked in the palace. Saad moved fast and kept her eyes sharp. Tade liked her because she did not waste words. "The cellar?" she asked. "Yes," Tade said. "Just to count pots." They went down the cool steps. The air smelled like yam, oil, and clay. Tade looked at the door. He ran his hand along the wood. Near the bottom he found a new mark where rope had rubbed. He stepped inside and counted baskets. A jar of oil was half empty but marked as full. A bag of grain had a hole in the back, the kind made by fingers, not by rats. Tade said nothing. He took a piece of soft charcoal from his pouch and drew a line on the inside of the jar, just where the oil sat. He placed 3 grain seeds on the door ledge. He smiled at Sod. "I am just learning how the cellar breathes," he said. That night, Tade waited near the lattice window that looked down at the cellar steps. He did not move. He slowed his breath. He counted heartbeats. After a long time, a shadow came. A man with a bent shoulder opened the door. He took oil and grain. The 3 seeds fell from the ledge and clicked on the step. The men froze, looked around, and then hurried away. Tade did not jump out. He followed in the dark, soft as cloth, and saw the men hand the food to 2 thin children near the back wall. The children ate fast, eyes round with fear. In the morning, Tade met the men in the corridor. He spoke in a low voice. "I counted the oil. I saw the seeds. I saw the children. Come with me." The man's mouth shook. "Please, my prince. Do not cut my hand. I only." Tade lifted a hand. "I will not cut your hand. We will fix the count. We will feed the children the right way. We will ask the cook for the scraps each night, and you will carry them with a small note, so no one lies. If you steal again, I will send you away. If you agree, you will help me watch." The men cried. He put his forehead on the floor. "I agree," he said. "Thank you." By noon the word had slipped through the palace like smoke. The quiet prince caught a thief and did not beat him, people said. He fed the children and wrote a new rule. That evening Tade brought cooked yam again. The hen ate and scratched one more word, North Gate. Tade felt the hairs rise on his arms. He spoke to Sod once more. "Tonight, at the North Gate," he said. "We will watch, but we will not shout. We will listen first." Sod nodded. She liked this kind of work. Night came. The moon was thin and sharp. The air felt like a held breath. Tade and Sod hid near a pile of wood and watched the gate. In a while 2 men came with a small cart. They pushed it slowly. A guard with a scar on his chin opened the gate a little. A bag of coin passed one way. A sack of rice passed the other way. Sod looked at Tade. Tade shook his head. "Not yet," he whispered. "We must see the whole stream before we try to stop the river." He marked the faces in his mind, the scar-chin guard, the men with the short leg, the boy with a twisted wrist. He told Sod, "Tomorrow I will ask Elder Ikenna for a story about doors." Sod smiled. "You always ask for a story." Tade smiled back. "Stories are doors." They left the gate and moved like shadows through the narrow service corridor. Lattice patterns fell across their arms. In the small courtyard, Tade stopped beside the rough post. He knelt and smoothed a square of dust. He wrote 2 words with his finger, "Thank you." The hen stepped out from behind the pot and tapped 3 times. Tap. 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 Then she scratched one short line under his words, like a smile. Tade whispered, "If you are Maya, I will help you. If you are another spirit, I will still help you. I do not know you with my mind, but I hear you with my heart." A light wind moved the smoke from the hearth. The stars above the clay wall looked like small eyes, bright and patient. Far away, a drum spoke a slow pattern for sleep. In the royal room, the king coughed and lay back on his pillows. He looked at the moon and thought of the boys when they were small. He closed his eyes and rested. In the barracks, Okoma bragged about strong walls and hard rules. In the counting room, Darren counted coins and counted men. In the quiet courtyard, a hen with human eyes watched a prince who did not laugh at her. The red dust kept the words. "Help me." The next morning would bring new signs. But for now, the night held its breath, and the quiet prince learned to listen. Morning light slid over the red earth. Smoke from cooking fires rose in thin white lines. A drum far away beat a slow walking rhythm. The palace woke. Prince Okoma filled the training yard with noise. He wore a red scarf across his chest and banged the butt of a spear on the ground. "Line up," he shouted. "Olam needs a strong hand." Men ran. Shields clacked. Dust jumped under their feet. Prince Darren did not like dust. He stood in the shade with neat cloth and a small smile. He spoke softly to councilmen. Little leather bags changed hands. Coins sang a tiny song. Tade walked past both brothers without a word. He watched the way a guard tied his sandals. He watched a girl carry water on her head and steady it with one finger. He watched a rope on a post that had been turned a little since last night. He kept listening for the taps. Tap. 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 He found the small courtyard again. The rough wooden post stood like an old friend. The hen waited near the pot. Her golden buff feathers glowed. The blue and silver beads at her small neck caught light. Tade knelt and spoke softly. "Good morning." He laid cooked yam on a leaf. The hen ate. Then she turned and scratched fast, her right claw writing one short line after another. Tade leaned close. Counting board. North Gate. Tonight. Tade breathed out. "I hear," he said. "Thank you." He smoothed the dust with his palm and drew 3 small dots in a row, their secret sign. Then he stood to leave. Sod stepped into the courtyard. She carried a bowl and moved with quick steps. "You talk to birds now?" she asked, but there was a smile in her eyes. "I listen," Tade said. Sod set the bowl on a low ledge and lowered her voice. "A Scarchin guard is on the North Gate again," she said. "A boy with a twisted wrist pushes a handcart for him. I saw them last night." "I saw them too," Tade said. "Tonight we watch again. But first, the counting room." They walked the long corridor that ran behind the council hall. Lattice shadows fell across the red floor and made it look like a woven mat. The counting room door stood open. Inside, a long table held numbers, beads on a wooden frame, a counting board marked with lines, and a big clay jar with a seal of blue wax. Elder Baco was there. He had narrow eyes and a neat gray goatee. He moved beads with careful fingers. "Prince Tade," he said, "you come to learn numbers. Numbers do not shout, but they rule." "I like quiet rulers," Tade said. Darren stepped in from the other side, smooth as oil. "Brother," he said, "come, let me show you how we help Father. We must pay soldiers on time." Tade nodded and watched. A clerk slid beads back and forth. Elder Baco made marks with charcoal on a board. A boy brought a basket of rolled leaves, each tied with string. Tade looked at the clay jar with the blue wax. He touched the seal lightly. "What is inside?" he asked. "Coin," Elder Baco said. "Silver and copper. We open each 7th day." Tade's fingers found a tiny crack line beside the wax, nothing anyone would care about, unless they liked small things. He leaned and saw a faint smear, the color of oil, near the base. He smiled without showing teeth. "May I see the bottom of the jar?" he asked. Elder Baco frowned. "The bottom?" "Yes," Tade said. "Sometimes ants hide there." Darren laughed once. "Ants do not eat metal." "Ants do not," Tade said. "But hands do." He and Sod lifted the jar gently, only a hand's width. Tade slid a strip of palm leaf under it. The strip came out with a mark of dark oil. Elder Baco's eyes narrowed. "Who put oil under the jar?" Sod looked at the floor and then at the clerk. The clerk swallowed. Tade did not point. He only said, "If oil sits under a heavy thing, the heavy thing slides. If it slides, a patient hand can work the seal and press it back with a warm finger. No one hears a sound." Darren's smile went thin. "This is no proof," he said. "It could be clumsy cleaning." Tade nodded. "Yes. So we will not shout. We will set a sign." He took a thin thread from the edge of a mat and laid it across the seal like a tiny bridge. "The thread will break if anyone moves this. We will all sleep well if we find it safe in the morning." Elder Baco stared at the thread with interest. He said. quiet proof. Darren waved a hand. As you wish, he said, and left, his cloth neat and his step soft. When he was gone, Elder Baco leaned close to Tade. Your father grows weak, he whispered. The city listens for steady steps. If you keep your steps steady, people will follow. I will try, Tade said. He and Saad walked out into the warm air. Dust lifted around their feet. A little wind carried the smell of frying bean cakes from the market. Tade's stomach spoke a small word. Saad laughed. You did not eat, she said. I forgot, he said. I was busy listening. They bought 2 bean cakes and shared them as they walked to the shade of the great tree near the archive. Elder Ikenna sat there again, rubbing oil into a dry patch on a scroll. He looked up and smiled. Ah, listeners, he said. Tade told him about the oil under the jar, the thread, and the words in the dust. He did not speak fast. He let each small image stand like a pot on a shelf. Ikenna nodded. You are building a shelf, he said. Good. Now, about the north gate tonight. Gates are mouths. They speak in 2 ways. If you want to catch a lie at a mouth, give it a word it cannot swallow. Saad frowned. What word is that? Light, the elder said. A lie does not like light. But do not bring a torch. Bring a sound. Make the gate speak its own shame. How? Saad asked. Ikenna handed Tade a dry gourd with a few stones inside. Tie this to the axle of the handcart, he said. It will rattle when the cart rolls. The cart will announce itself. A prince does not have to shout. He can let the cart shout. Saad grinned. I like that. Tade turned the gourd in his hands. He thought of the hen's 3 taps. He thought of the ring drawing on the old scroll. Elder, he said, what if the ring law is true? What if the sign is near the throne? We cannot test it on the throne today. True, Ikenna said. But you can train your heart to be without greed. Help where no one sees. Speak truth where it costs a little. You must be ready before the full moon. The heart cannot learn kindness in a hurry. As the sun crossed the sky, Tade and Saad moved quietly through the palace. They visited the kitchen and asked the cook to save scraps for the thin children near the back wall. They wrote a simple rule on a small board: count before you carry. Sign before you take. They gave the board to Elder Baco, who nodded and set it where all could see. Okoma saw the new board and laughed. Words do not stop thieves, he said to his men. Sticks stop thieves. Tade did not answer. The stick in his hand was a reed pen, and it did enough work for him. Afternoon slid into evening. The sky turned the color of ripe palm fruit. Laughter and talk floated from the market square. Drums spoke an old pattern for cooking time. Tade and Saad waited in the narrow service corridor near the north gate. Lattice shadows lay over their arms like nets. At last, footsteps. A cart wheel hissed on the red dust. The Scarchin guard walked ahead, shoulders tight. Behind him, the boy with the twisted wrist pushed a narrow handcart with a sack on it. Another man with a short leg walked on the other side. No one spoke. Saad moved like a cat, fast and quiet. When the cart paused at a turn, she slipped the dry gourd under the back, tied by its neck with a short string to the axle. She slid back into the dark. The cart rolled. Rattle, rattle, rattle. The sound was not loud, but in the quiet it felt like a bell. The men froze. The Scarchin guard looked down, frowning. He kicked the gourd. It clacked and rolled, then hung by the short string and banged the wood. Who tied this? He hissed. Ghosts, the short-legged whispered, afraid. Not ghosts, Saad said, stepping out. We do not need ghosts tonight. Tade stepped out too. He did not shout. He rested both hands open by his sides. Open the sack, he said. The guard's mouth tightened. By whose order? By the order of quiet wisdom, Tade said. By the order of a king who still breathes. The guard glared, then pulled the sack open. Rice. Enough to feed many mouths. Tade looked at the boy with the twisted wrist. The boy looked at the ground. Tell me the path, Tade said softly. Where does the rice go? The boy's voice was small. To a store behind the old dye shed, he said. From there to a house behind the market. From there to men with long knives. Varco's men, Tade thought, but did not say. The guard licked his lips. We only. You took coin, Tade said. He did not raise his voice. You moved food away from the count. When soldiers are hungry, their hearts grow hard. This steals more than rice. Saad cut the gourd free and held it up by its neck. We will follow this sound, she said. We will follow the cart. The Skarchin guard shifted his feet. He looked at Tade's face and did not find anger there. That made him more afraid. If I speak, he said, will I be cut? Will my family suffer? If you speak true, Tade said, you will carry shame for a while, but not a wound. If you lie, you will carry both. Silence. Then the guard nodded once. I will speak, he said. I will show you the shed. They walked together through the cool lanes. The gourd in Sada's hand knocked softly against her leg. Rattle. Rattle. The sound told each corner that a cart had rolled there. The old dye shed stood empty now, its blue stains like river lines on the wall. Behind it, a small door. The boy with the twisted wrist pushed it open. Inside, sacks of rice and jars of oil sat stacked in neat rows. A counting board lay on a stool. On the board, 3 rows were marked paid, and 2 rows were marked due. Beside the board sat a small green stone ring, not gold, but pretty, like a toy crown. Saad picked up the ring. Whose is this? She asked. The guard looked at his feet. A man with a thin goatee, he said. He wears a half mask when he meets us. He likes green. He says the ring brings him luck. Tade pictured a face he had seen only in drawings. Varco. He felt his breath grow slow and strong. He did not grab the green ring. He put it back on the stool. Take the sacks out, he told the guard. Carry them back in daylight. Let people see the return. And tonight you will sleep in the barracks near the main yard. If you run, you will never stop running. If you stay, we will find a clean job for you and your boy. The guard's shoulders dropped. He nodded. I will stay, he said. I am tired of fear. They left the shed and stood in the lane. The moon had climbed higher. The air smelled of dye and clay. Tade turned to Saad. Thank you, he said. Saad smiled. You always say that, she replied. It makes people want to help you again. They walked back to the small courtyard. The hen waited by the post, head tilted. Tade knelt and smoothed a square of dust. Thank you, he wrote again, then added, we saw the gate. The hen tapped 3 times. Tap. 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 She scratched a short new word, quick as a breath. Mask. Tade looked up at Saad. A mask, he said. The guard said a half mask. A thin goatee. Green stone. Sada's smile faded. He is here then, she whispered. Varco. A breeze ran over the courtyard and lifted a thin skin of dust from the ground. It made the dust letters look like they were breathing. Tade stood. Tomorrow I will stand with father in the hall, he said. I will ask for a small change in the ceremony. I will ask to keep space near the throne. For the ring? Saad asked. For the truth, Tade said. They left the courtyard. The hen stayed and looked at the moon. Her bright eyes were wet again. Somewhere deep inside the feathers, a woman's hope turned over like a small fish in a pool and looked up at a clear sky. At sunrise, the counting room filled with quiet faces. Elder Baco bent over the clay jar. The thin thread lay broken at one end. A small line of blue wax showed a rough edge where a warm thumb had pushed it back. Baco did not shout. He turned, looked at the clerk, and tapped the board with one finger. "Count," he said. The numbers did not add up. Darren came in, ready with a soft smile and softer words. The smile did not rise today. He saw the broken thread in the open jar. He saw Tade's calm face. He chose to say nothing and left the room like a cat leaves a room when a bowl falls. By noon, word spread, the Quiet Prince set a thread and found a hand in the jar. Some people laughed with surprise. Others rested a little easier, as if a hand had raised a heavy pot from their heads. Okoma heard and frowned. He did not like threads. He liked spears. He doubled the training. He beat the drum harder. He told men to stand at every corner of the great hall for the full moon ceremony. The king sat by his window and listened to both kinds of sound, the thread sound and the spear sound, though one could not truly be heard with ears. He closed his eyes and said a short prayer into his palm. That night, Tade slept for 1 hour, then woke and walked. He passed the great gate with its brass studs. He passed the market, quiet now, with its empty baskets stacked like sleeping turtles. He went to the small courtyard. The hen came at once. She scratched fast. Hall. Ring. Truth. Tade smiled. "I am ready," he said. "I am trying to be ready." He wrote one word back. Courage. The hen tapped 3 times. Then she pecked the signet of a small sun circle in the dust, as if to bless the word. Wind turned a corner. A single feather rolled gently across the ground and stopped at Tade's sandal. He picked it up and held it in his palm. The feather was gold at the tip, like a promise not yet spent. He looked at the moon. It was growing. Soon it would be a round drum in the sky. He closed his eyes and said, without greed, and let the words settle, heavy and good, in the middle of his chest. He did not see the thin man in the shadow at the far wall. The man touched his own thin goatee and smiled behind a small half-mask. He wore a ring of green stone on his finger and watched the Quiet Prince write in dust with a gentleness that made him angry. The man whispered to the night, "You will be gentle in a cell too," and slipped away. The hen watched the corner where the shadow had moved. She stood very still. Then, softly, she scratched a new word where Tade would see it in the morning. Danger. The night held its breath again. The story walked on quiet feet toward the great hall and the bright ring that waited there. The sun rose slow and soft. It warmed the terracotta walls and made the red earth shine. Smoke from breakfast fires curled like white snakes. A bell rang once in the far courtyard. The palace woke with small sounds, brooms, pots, sandals. Prince Tade woke from short sleep. He washed his face with cool water and stood very still. He said the words again to himself. Without greed. Speak truth. He tied his indigo wrapper and slipped the reed pen through his belt. He took 2 small yam pieces from a leaf and walked to the small courtyard. The rough post stood like a friend. The hen waited near the blackened pot. Her golden buff feathers looked warm in the morning light. Blue and silver beads glinted at her small neck. Good morning, Tade said. He set the yam down. The hen ate and then scratched the word she had left in the night. Danger. Tade squatted low to read. Danger for who? He asked softly. The hen scratched again, quick lines. You. Mask. Tonight. Tade nodded. I will be careful, he said. Thank you. He smoothed the dust and wrote with his finger, I listen. The hen tapped 3 times, tap, 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 then stepped back under the curve of shade. Sod came in with a small basket and a fast step. There you are, she said. Elder Ikena sent word. He wants you now. They walked under the shade tree to the archive door. The room smelled of oil and old paper. Shelves held rows of scrolls. Light stripes from the lattice lay across the floor like woven cloth. Elder Ikena stood at a low table. He rubbed a little oil into a crack in the wood with a careful finger. Ink stained his fingertips. He looked up and smiled at Tade and Sod. "Come," he said. "Let us speak as if the walls have ears, and our words are bread for them, not meat." Tade bowed his head. "We saw the secret store by the dye shed," he said. "We began to pull it down." "Good," the elder said. "But a tree has many roots. We must know where this tree drinks water." He pulled a scroll with a bird mark and put it on the table. He opened it and pointed to the simple drawings again: a woman with long braids, a thin man with a sharp face, a sun ring on a throne, and a small bird at the foot of the throne. "This is the old story," Ikenna said. "We must read it with clean eyes." He spoke in slow, plain words, as if to a child, and yet each word carried weight. "Maya was a bright maiden," he said. "She spoke her mind. She did not want to be bought. Lord Varco wanted to own her. When she said no, he grew small inside and cruel outside. He worked a dark thing and spoke a curse. She became a chicken and lost her human mouth." Sada's hands closed into small fists. "He was a coward," she said. "Yes," Ikenna said. "Cowards like silence that protects them." But Maya did not fall silent. She learned to scratch words in dust. She learned to tap 3 times so a friend could know her. She stayed near power, where the ring sits. She waited. He pointed to the drawing of the ring on the stool near the throne. "The law of the curse is like a door with 2 locks, he said. "The first lock is the king's ring taken from the throne without greed. The second lock is the speaking of truth in that hall. Only when both locks open does the door move and feathers fall." Tade looked at the drawing. "What does 'without greed' mean for a hand?" he asked. The elder smiled. "It starts in the heart before the hand," he said. "It means no hunger for power, no wish to shine, no wish to be seen as a hero. It means to act for the good of the many, even if no one claps. It means to let someone else wear the light while you hold the door." Tade listened. The words sat in him like stones that made a steady path. Sod leaned forward. "And truth?" she asked. "What truth?" "Not long speeches," Ikenna said. "A clean truth. One line that sets a bone straight. It may be, he stole. It may be, I forgive. It may be, this plan harms the poor. It must be said where the sun ring looks down." He rolled the scroll up and tied it with a simple string. "Varco knows this law," he said softly. "He will try to twist it. He will try to make you act with greed, or make you speak anger, so the door stays shut." Tade thought of the green stone ring in the shed and of the thin shadow he had not seen until too late. He thought of the word danger tapped into dust. "I will train my heart," he said. "I will keep my hand open." Ikenna nodded. "Good. Now we work on small doors today," he said. "The counting room. The north gate. The guard with the scar at his chin." Sod pulled a folded leaf from her basket. On it were simple marks, faces and places. "The Scarchin guard slept in the barracks near the main yard last night," she said. "He did not run. This morning he returned sacks of rice to the store with help. People saw the return. They talk." "Good," Ikenna said. "Shame is a kind teacher when it is not cruel." He turned to a low shelf and lifted a little bowl of palm ash. He dipped a finger in the ash and drew a small sun ring on the table, then a smaller ring beside it. "When you speak in the hall," he said to Tade, "place the big ring in your mind on the throne, and the small ring in your mind on your tongue. Make sure both are bright." Tade smiled a little. "You teach like a potter," he said. "With hands and circles." The elder laughed. "It is the only way I know." They left the archive. The morning stretched into a new heat. In the market, a woman sang a soft song as she sold bean cakes. Children laughed near a water jar. A dog slept in shade and kicked one leg as if chasing a dream. Tade and Sod walked to the counting room again. Elder Baco stood at the table. The clay jar sat where it always sat. The thin thread Tade had laid across the seal yesterday was broken at one end. The blue wax showed a small thumb push. Elder Baco looked at Tade with narrow eyes. "The thread spoke," he said. "Yes," Tade said. He did not smile. He did not scold. He only looked at the clerk and said, "Let us count slowly, like people who care." They counted every coin. They wrote each sum on the board in plain strokes. They found the hole. It was not big, but it was there, like a worm in a fruit. The clerk's face turned gray. He shook. "My mother is sick," he said. "They told me to take a little and I took a little, and then a little more. I am sorry." Elder Baco opened his mouth to speak. Tade lifted a hand. "We will fix the jar," Tade said. "We will seal it with a mark only 3 people know. We will write down every hand that touches this jar. You will repay from your pay for 6 moons. If you steal again, you will leave. If you stay clean, you will stay and teach the next clerk not to be a worm." The clerk wept. "Thank you," he said. "I will repay. I will learn." Elder Baco looked at Tade and then at the board. "Quiet rules," he said. "They work." Word ran again. The quiet prince caught a hand in the jar and did not cut it, people said. He made the jar teach. Okoma heard the talk and grew red in the face. He tapped a spear point against stone until sparks flew. "Kindness makes weak men," he told his captains. Darren heard the talk and sent 2 more small bags out from his private room. He spoke to Elder Baco in a soft voice. "We must keep calm in the council," he said. "Let us balance the board." Elder Baco did not answer. He looked at Darren's smooth hands and thought of threads that break and fingers that press warm wax. By midday, the heat lay heavy. The air in the narrow corridor felt like a held breath. Tade and Sod moved in this breath, slow and sure. They stepped into the small courtyard and found the hen asleep under the curve of the pot. They did not wake her. They sat on the low ledge and spoke in low voices. "What word will you speak in the hall?" Sod asked. "I do not know yet," Tade said. "Truth must fit the time. A bone is not set with any stick. It takes the right stick, the right push." Sod nodded. "What if truth is, I forgive?" she asked. "Who will you forgive?" Tade looked at the dust where the hen had written danger. He thought of the guard who had kicked at a hen weeks ago and laughed. He thought of the boy with the twisted wrist. He thought of the thin shadow with the green ring. "I do not know yet," he said again. "But I will hold a place for mercy in my mouth." Afternoon wore on. The sky turned white-hot. In the quiet of that heat, a whisper moved through the palace like a small snake. "Varco is back," the whisper said. "Varco is back." He had been seen near the east wall. He had been seen near the dye shed. He had been seen buying a new half-mask from a carver in the lower market and paying with a green stone. Tade listened to the whisper without chasing it. He drank water. He sat with Elder Ikena and learned to breathe like a slow drum, 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out. He ate a little yam and a little bean cake and saved the last piece for the hen. Toward evening, the sky softened. The heat fell from the clay walls. Shadows grew long. Tade and Sod walked to the north gate to see if it still had a mouth for lies. The Scarchin guard stood there, straight as a spear. His eyes looked clear. When he saw Tade, he dropped to one knee. "Prince," he said. "I will stand clean tonight." "Stand clean every night," Tade said. "But if your legs shake, call for help. Shame is heavy if you carry it alone." The guard nodded. He put his hand on his chest. "I will call," he said. They left the gate and crossed the yard to the great hall. Workers swept the floor. Sunlight fell from high windows like golden cloth. The throne stood at the far end, carved wood with a sun ring high at its back. The king sat on a low chair to the side and watched the sweepers with soft eyes. When he saw Tade, he lifted his hand. "Walk with me," he said. They walked slowly along the edge of the hall. The king leaned a little on Tade's arm. His breath was rough. "My son," he said, "I hear threads and carts and jars in the talk today. Your steps are steady." "I am learning," Tade said. "The elder teaches me. The dust teaches me. A friend teaches me." "A friend?" the king asked. "A small one," Tade said, and smiled. "But brave." The king looked at the throne. "The full moon is near," he said. "Your brothers make noise." "I hear them," Tade said. "What do you ask of me for the ceremony?" the king asked. "Ask while the sun is soft." Tade looked at the throne and saw the signet ring on the little stool beside it. He felt his heart beat once, strong. "I ask for space near the throne," he said. "I ask that the ring sit where all can see, and that no one touch it until the right time. I ask that we let truth speak in a small voice before drums speak in a big voice." The king smiled a little. "You ask for less, and in this less I hear more," he said. "You will have that space." They stood together under a shaft of light. Dust motes drifted and turned like tiny fish. The king looked at them and said, "People think power is a river. Sometimes it is a bowl. It is what you pour into it. Fill it with fear, and all drink fear. Fill it with patience, and even hard men sip patience." Tade bowed his head. "I will try to pour patience," he said. Later, when the light went gold, Tade and Sod returned to the small courtyard. The hen stood in the warm beam from the open sky. She tapped 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. Tade laid the last piece of yam down. The hen ate and then scratched new words. Hall guards. Left arch. Mask. Tade read and looked up. He saw in his mind the left arch near the throne where shadows could hide. "We will watch the left arch," he said. "We will place honest men there. We will tell no one else." Sod nodded. "Chief Obo will help. He likes things that stand straight. He does not like masks." They found Chief Obo in the yard, the big man with a shaved head and a ring of iron keys. He listened without blinking. "I will place 2 men I trust," he said. "They do not drink. They do not talk much. They have eyes like small hawks." "Thank you," Tade said. Night came early to the narrow lanes. A sliver of moon hung like a small knife. The palace settled. In some rooms, people laughed low. In others, they quarreled. In one small courtyard, a prince and a hen sat with their quiet. "Maya," Tade said for the first time out loud. The name felt right in his mouth. The hen's head moved. Her bright eye looked at him and did not look away. "I do not know the right truth to speak yet," he said. "But when the time comes, I will speak it. I will not grab. I will not boast. If the door opens, it will open." The hen tapped twice, then a pause, then once more, tap, 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 as if to say, "Yes." "And hurry." They both turned when a soft step moved near the far wall. A thin shape stood there, more shadow than man. The half-mask hid the face. A green stone ring caught a dot of light and winked, like a lizard's eye. "Good evening," the thin voice said. "It is good to see a prince learn to speak with birds. It will make a fine story for the jail." Sod stepped from the other side with a short stick in her hand. Chief Obo's 2 hawk-eyed men melted up from the lane like the night itself. The thin man laughed once, not with joy but with ice. "Ah," he said. "Eyes like hawks. But hawks can be fed. Can princes?" He slipped back into the dark like a fish under a log. The men ran to catch him and found only the smell of old dye and the scrape of a rat in straw. Tade stood very still. He felt the air move over his skin. His mouth was dry, but his heart was steady. He looked at the dust. He wrote one small word with his finger. "Soon." The hen scratched a line under it, like a promise. At dawn, the palace sang a different song. Drums sounded from the outer yard. Messengers ran with rolled leaves. The market grew loud early. People said, "The full moon night is almost here." They said, "The king will choose." They said, "Okoma has soldiers." They said, "Darren has coins." Some said, "Tade has dust and a hen," and they laughed, but not hard, and not for long. Because the night after, the lattice shadows on the service corridor held two new shapes, men with knives who did not belong there. Because the left arch in the hall felt colder than the right arch, though the same sun fell from above. Because a half-mask had been seen near the east wall, then near the dye shed, then by the old well where no one drank anymore. Because danger had written itself into dust. Elder Ikena sat under the shade tree and watched a tiny line of ants carry a crumb. He smiled. "Carry well," he told them. "You teach princes." He looked up and saw Tade walking toward him, straight and calm. Behind Tade came Sod, quick and sharp. Behind her walked Chief Obo, heavy and sure. The elder stood. "We will set many small doors today," he said. "We will oil the hinges. We will listen for the right truth." Tade nodded. "We will also make room beside the throne," he said. "Room for a bird to fly. And for a ring to roll," Sod said. "And for masks to fall," Chief Obo said. They all smiled, just a little. Then they got to work. The sun climbed higher and made the red earth glow like a warm pot. Women spread cloth on lines. Men fixed a broken wool by the gate. Children chased a thin dog and then gave it a crust of bread. The palace breathed. Prince Tade moved through the courtyards like a quiet river. He did not push. He just kept going. Sod walked beside him, light on her feet. Chief Obo followed sometimes, heavy and steady, like a drum you can trust. They began with small doors. In the kitchen, Tade spoke with the cook. "Keep scraps for the thin children at the back wall," he said. "Write their names when you give the food. Let the old woman who sweeps sign with a thumbprint. We will make kindness clear." The cook nodded. She liked rules that were gentle and also strong. She wiped her hands on her cloth and called the old woman over to show the new board. The old woman placed her thumb on ink and pressed it to the clay. She smiled at the dark mark. "Now my print can talk," she said. In the guard yard, Tade stood with the Scar-Chin guard. "You will stand at the north gate 3 nights," he said. "Not as a punishment. As a promise. Bring the boy with the twisted wrist. Give him a straight job, carry water to the gate pots. He will be paid." The guard swallowed. His eyes were wet, but he kept his back straight. "Thank you," he said. "I will stand and I will pay back my shame with clean work." Sod wrote the names on a small leaf, folded it, and handed it to the guard. "This is your start," she said. "Let it be your middle too." In the counting room, Elder Bako showed Tade the new seal on the coin jar. It had 3 little marks pressed into the wax that only 3 people knew. Bako tapped the seal with a finger. "This seal is a small song," he said. "It sings, 'Do not try me.'" Tade smiled. "Good," he said. "Let jars sing." Darren walked in with his soft clothes and softer words. "Brother," he said, "you make many small rules. Let me make a big one, a feast in my name to cheer the city while Father rests. We will give bread. We will give palm drink. People will love peace." Elder Bako raised one brow. Sod watched Darren's hands, not his smile. "A feast is good," Tade said. "But let it honor Father, not you. Let the food go first to those who work and those who have little." Darren's smile did not move. "As you wish," he said. "Let us give bread to the quiet. They can clap softly." He walked out. As he passed the door, a clerk dropped a small reed pen. Darren stepped on it by mistake and broke it. He did not notice. Sod picked up the broken pen and held it in her palm. "Some people make breaks without meaning to," she said. "Still, something is broken." They went to the market square. Stalls lined the path, covered with simple mats. Yams sat in neat piles. Palm fruit shone like small suns. A woman beat a drum to call people to her pepper. Tade walked, watched, and listened. He stopped at a stall where a little scale sat beside a bowl of beans. "How much?" he asked a buyer. The buyer sighed. "More than last week," she said. "They say the store was light. They say the guards eat the rice." Tade spoke to the seller. "Lower your price for one day," he said. "The store will return rice to the right place. The price will follow. If it does not, I will return with a counting board and sit here all day and count with you until we find the lost hand." The seller looked at Tade's face. She did not see anger. She saw a slow rock. She nodded. "For one day," she said. "Let us test your promise." Saad made a small mark on her leaf, "Market test." Children ran past with a stick wheel rolling before them. Tade watched the wheel spin. He thought of the dry gourd Saad had tied to the cart and how it had sung the cart's secret. He thought of the word the hen had scratched, "mask." They returned to the small courtyard in the late morning. Heat lay over the clay walls like a blanket. The rough wooden post stood, its rope wrap holding shadows in its turns. The hen waited in the cool space near the blackened pot. Tade set down cooked yam and stepped back. The hen ate, then scratched quick lines with her right claw. Tade read each line as it appeared. Counting board. Cellar. North cart. Belt knife. Tade nodded. "We saw the cart," he said. "We heard the gourd." He touched his own belt, where only a reed pen hung. "A belt knife," he repeated. He looked at Saad. "Check each belt at the left arch tonight," he said. "Only short knives, and only for guards with names we know." Saad smiled. "I will count belts like coins," she said. "Knives will sit quiet or wait outside." The hen scratched one last small word. "Singer." Tade raised his brows. "A singer?" he asked. Saad laughed once. "Darren hired a singer to praise him," she said. "A good one. The men can press a crowd like palm fruit." Tade looked at the dust, then at the hen. He smoothed a new square and wrote, "Who?" The hen scratched 3 letters with care. "I-N-I." Saad sucked in a breath. "Ini," she said. "He sings in the lower square on market days. He has a smooth voice. He used to sing for weddings, not for coins in a bag." Tade stood and thought. "Men sing for their children," he said. "For their old mothers. For their food. We will not cut his song. We will place a better song beside it." He walked to the shade tree where Elder Ikena liked to sit. The elder was not there. A small boy was. The boy held a drum under his arm. He hit it softly, doom, 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 and the sound felt like a calm heart. "What is your name?" Tade asked. "Ayo," the boy said. "Do you know the old call songs?" Tade asked. "Not the ones with names. The ones with work words." Ayo smiled. "I know, Prince," he said. "My grandfather taught me. He said his drum can call water to move." "Good," Tade said. "Come to the market at noon. Stand near the pepper woman and sing the old work words loud and simple. Saad will stand with you. She will bring 2 women with strong voices to answer you. Make the call and answer clean." Ayo nodded, eyes bright. "I will sing," he said. "I will not sing a name. I will sing the work." At noon, while Darren's hired singer warmed his voice in the council shade, Ayo climbed onto a low stool in the square. Saad stood on one side. 2 women who pounded yam for weddings stood on the other. Ayo beat the drum and called. "Who wakes first?" The women answered. "We all wake first." "Who fetches water?" "We all fetch water." "Who turns the yam?" "We all turn the yam." "Who counts the jars?" "We all count the jars." People turned. Heads lifted. The sound was simple and clean. It moved like wind in tall grass. Darren's singer began his praise song for princes, but his notes fell into the stronger sound like pebbles into a river. He tried to push his voice higher. The women laughed and answered Ao again. Who keeps the gate clean? We all keep the gate clean. Who tells the truth? We all tell the truth. Coins rang in Ao's bowl. Not for a name. For a work. Darren watched from the edge and smiled his small smile, but it did not reach his eyes. He turned and walked away. The singer packed his drum and left early. He did not want to sing against the old songs. Simple breaks the clever, Saad said softly to Tade, watching the square settle into smiles. Simple tells the bone where to grow, Tade said. They left the market as the sky began to lean toward evening. Tade felt the day in his legs but not in his heart. His heart felt light and ready. They checked the left arch of the great hall with Chief Obo. 2 guards with clear eyes stood there. Tade touched each belt and each knife with his fingers, counting softly. Short, he said to one knife. Short, he said to the other. He took one long thin blade from a third man who had wandered up. This waits outside, he said. You will fetch it after the ceremony. The men grumbled, but Chief Obo's eyes were firm. The man tied his mouth shut and walked away. The king sat near the open window and watched all this happen. He did not say much. He let his sons show their hearts by their steps. When Tade bowed to him, the king touched Tade's shoulder. You pour patience well, he said. Thank you, Tade said. Night came with a sweet breeze. The moon was almost full, fat and bright like a gourd you cannot carry in one hand. In the small courtyard, the hen scratched one last message in the dust for that day. Be ready. Tade bent his head. I am trying, he said. I will keep my hand open. He did not see the thin shadow that moved beyond the far wall. The half-mask watched him and then slipped away toward the dye shed where 2 men waited with dark cloth and a coil of rope. Near midnight, a soft shout rose from the yard behind the barracks. Thief, a voice cried. Thief. Men ran with torches. The light made the walls dance. Chief Obo strode into the open space and held up a hand. Quiet, he said. Do not run like goats. Walk like people. In the middle of the space stood the Scar-Chin guard with his hands held up. Beside him lay a small bag that clinked. A boy shouted, he took coin from a stranger. He hides rice. Tade arrived out of breath. Saad came with him. She saw fear in the guard's eyes and anger in the boy's voice. The boy's twisted wrist shook as he pointed. Chief Obo opened the bag. Coins shone like little moons. Where did you get this? He asked the guard. The guard licked dry lips. A man gave it, he said. He said it was for food. Which man? Obo asked. The guard looked at the ground. I do not know, he said. It was dark. A murmur rolled through the crowd. Words like liar and snake rose like smoke. Tade raised both hands. Stop, he said. His voice was not loud, but it cut the murmur clean. We look, we do not shout. He knelt by the bag and picked up one coin. He rubbed it on his sleeve. A smear of green came off. He held the coin to the torch. It was not a coin. It was a thin clay circle painted with silver and rubbed with oil to shine. Inside the bag, more clay coins. Saad bent and smelled the bag. Dye, she said. Old blue dye. The bag sat in the dye shed. Chief Obo turned to the boy. Who told you to shout? He asked. Who told you to call this man a thief? The boy shook. He looked at the dark between 2 walls. A man with a half-mask, he whispered. He gave me a coin and said, shout thief when I drop this bag. Tade stood and put his hand on the guard's shoulder. You were a hook, he said. They wanted to catch the quiet fish with you. He looked at the men. He pointed at the dark gap between the walls. "He is there," he said. "He sees our faces. He counts our tempers." Men moved, but Chief Obo lifted his hand. "Not now," he said. "We do not chase shadows in tight lanes. We trip on our own feet. We will catch him when he runs into light." He looked at the guard. "You will sleep inside the hall tonight," he said. "On the floor, near the left arch. You will not move. If the masked man wants to frame someone, let him frame himself against light stones and 1,000 eyes." The guard nodded, grateful and ashamed. He lay down on the cool hall floor like a man beside a river. He closed his eyes and breathed. Saad turned to Tade. "They try to make the crowd hate you," she said. "They try to make you act angry so the ring law breaks." Tade nodded. "Then we will act like water and not like fire," he said. "Water wears stone. Fire burns and is gone." They went back to the small courtyard. The hen waited, awake and still. Tade smoothed the dust and wrote. "They tried." The hen scratched a small answer. "See left. Arch." Tade looked at Saad. "We watch the left arch harder," he said. Saad nodded. "I will sit in the shadow like a cat," she said. "He will think no one is there." They did not sleep much. The moon poured milk light over the clay walls. The men in the hall breathed slow. The guard with the scar kept his eyes open and counted the blocks in the stone arch. He reached 100 and began again. Before dawn, a soft scrape ran along the outer wall. Saad heard it. She slipped to the left arch and sat inside the darkness, eyes wide. Tade stood in the far corner with Elder Ikena, who held a pomash bowl and said a simple prayer for clean hearts. A thin shape slid through the service corridor and paused at the arch. The half-mask looked both ways. The men moved like a lizard, belly low, hands quick. He reached for the little stool where the signet ring sat beside the throne. His fingers hovered. He did not see Saad in the dark. "Good evening," Saad said, and her voice was very small and very clear. The men jerked. He pulled his hand back. He turned to run. Chief Obo stepped out of the other shadow and put one big hand on the man's shoulder. The men pulled free and slipped like oil. He ran toward the east door. The Scarchin guard stood from the floor and reached for him. The men ducked and the guard's fingers closed on the half-mask. The mask came off. The man's face showed in the moonlight that poured in from the high window. Thin. Narrow. A sharp mouth. A thin goatee. Eyes like knives. "Varco," Tade said. He did not shout. He said the name like a judge who has waited a long time to say it. Varco smiled a small, hard smile. He bowed a little, mocking. "We meet at last," he said. "A prince who talks to hens. A prince who ties gourds to carts. How sweet." He stepped back, turned, and slipped into the service corridor. Two men with long knives rose from behind the dye jars. Chief Obo roared and blocked the hall with his body. The knives scraped his bronze band. Sparks fell. Saad threw the half-mask to Tade. Tade caught it and held it up. He looked at the inside. The cloth smelled of old dye and oil. A small line of green thread ran along the edge. He tucked the mask into his wrapper. "Do not chase," Elder Ikena said, voice low but firm. "We do not know the turns of that maze. We have seen his face. That is enough for tonight. The full moon is tomorrow." They stood in the hall while the sky turned from dark to blue. The king sat up on his bed when the first bird sang. He asked the guard at his door, "What is the sound in my house?" The guard said, "Bones are moving into their right places, my king." The king smiled. "Then let them keep moving," he said, and lay back with his eyes open. In the small courtyard, the hen made one last mark in the dust before the sun came. Truth. Tade knelt and touched the word with one finger, like a promise. "We will bring truth," he said. We will not bring greed. He looked at Sod. When the time comes, if I hold back from the ring, do not push me forward. If I step toward the ring, and my heart is hot, pull me back. Sod nodded. I will watch your face, she said. I will watch your hands. Chief Obo rolled his shoulders and winced where a knife had scraped him. I will watch the left arch, he said. No shadow will pass. Elder Ikena placed the palm ash bowl on the floor and drew a small sun ring in the dust beside the hen's word. He breathed out and said, Tomorrow, doors open. Tade stood. He felt tired in his bones, but bright in his mind. He looked toward the great hall, where the ring waited like a small sun on a little stool. He looked at the hen, whose human eyes watched him with hope. He looked at the sky, where the moon was fat and almost full. Tomorrow, he said. And the story, like a quiet river, moved toward the fall where water becomes mist and light. The day of the full moon was here. Morning came clear and bright. The sky was a clean blue bowl. The palace floor shone after the sweepers worked. New mats lay on the steps. The throne hall smelled of wood oil and clean clay. Prince Okoma drilled soldiers in the outer yard. Shields flashed. Spears thumped. He barked orders and smiled when the sound was loud. Prince Darren walked the council lane with a calm face. He spoke to elders in soft tones. Little bags moved from sleeve to sleeve like fish in a dark stream. Prince Tade stood in the small courtyard and watched the hen. She ate 2 small yam pieces, then scratched one word. Steady. I will be steady, Tade said. He touched the dust with his finger the way a man touches the rim of a water pot to feel if it is sound. Sod came, fast as usual. Left arch guards ready, she said. Chief Obo set 2 more men at the east door. Elder Bako sealed the coin jar again. Elder Ikena waits in the hall with the palm ash bowl. Good, Tade said. We keep the doors small and the hearts open. They walked toward the great hall. On the way, a boy ran up with a rolled leaf. A message for Prince Tade, he called. Tade took the leaf and opened it. The writing was neat. It said, Your father calls you to his rooms. Come alone. The mark at the bottom looked like the king's short line. But Tade felt the leaf with his thumb. The sap line was fresh. The king did not write with fresh sap, he used charcoal. Who gave you this? Tade asked. A thin man in a long cloth, the boy said. He wore a half mask on his head, not on his face. Sada's eyes went sharp. Do not go, she whispered. Tade nodded. I will not go alone, he said. He looked at the boy. Thank you. Tell the men I will come. The boy ran off, happy to carry words. Tade and Sod went to the king's room by the open way, not the tight lane. 2 guards stood there, men the king had trusted for years. The king sat on the bed, propped on pillows, the window light on his face. Who called me? Tade asked softly. I called no one, the king said. But someone wishes to pull you into a dark corner. Sod told the king about the message and the boy. The king's mouth went thin. Masks walk in my house in daylight, he said. Then let us not hide. Let us fill the hall with eyes. He stood with care. Tade helped him dress in a light robe. They walked slow to the throne hall. The king sat in a chair beside the throne so he could breathe well. The signet ring sat on the small stool like a little son. People began to come. The hall filled, from chiefs to cloth sellers, from guards to boys who ran messages. Drums spoke once and then fell silent. The full moon would rise after sunset, but the choice would be made with its first light. Okoma entered with a short march of soldiers. They stood like a wall behind him. Darren entered with elders who smelled of fine oil. Their feet made no sound. Tade entered with no sound at all. Sod stood near the left arch. Chief Obo stood near the east door. Elder Ikena sat on a low stool with the palm ash bowl. The king raised his hand. Today, he said, We will see which son can find wisdom in an unlikely place. He looked at Okoma. Speak, he said. Okoma spread his arms. Father, he said, the city wants strong hands. I will make hard rules. I will beat liars. I will build higher walls. Wolves do not come when fires are bright. Some men shouted yes, and banged their spears on the floor. The sound bounced off the clay and came back twice. The king nodded and looked at Darren. Speak, he said. Darren bowed. Father, he said, I have balanced counts, paid men on time, and kept prices calm. The city wants a quiet river, not a flood. I will build a council of smart heads. We will plan peace. Some elders clapped softly, like hands on dry leaves. Then the king looked at Tade. Speak, he said. Tade stepped one pace forward. He did not clear his throat. He did not raise his voice. Father, he said, wisdom is small and patient. It hides in dust. It walks under doors. It does not break jars, it mends them. It writes where few look. I want to listen to that wisdom. A murmur ran through the hall. Some smiled, some frowned. One deep laugh broke the air, hard and cold. It was Lord Varco. He stood near the left arch, face bare now, thin goatee sharp, green stone ring bright. Two men stood behind him, hands under their cloths. Listen to hens, Varco said. Listen to dust. A fine prince for stories. Chief Obo moved. Sod shifted. The king lifted a hand. We will have order, he said. Varco wore a small smile that did not touch his eyes. Order, he asked. Then let us show order. Guards. Take Prince Tade. He bewitched a bird to speak lies and steals from the jar to feed his tricks. The words were fast and sharp. Two men in guard cloth lunged from the side with ropes. They moved like men who had practiced. Before anyone else could step, they looped Tade's wrists. One Mormon swung a short stick and knocked the reed pen from Tade's belt. Cries rose. Spears shifted. Noise grew. Stop, the king said. His voice was old but strong. No one moves. But noise calls more noise. One of Varco's men threw a small bundle to the floor. It burst with dark dust, old dye, and made a cloud that stung eyes. People coughed and cried out. In the blur, a heavy thump sounded. When the dust fell, Tade stood bound. Beside him on the floor lay a small bag. Chief Obo kicked it open. Coins spilled. Elder Baco bent, touched, and frowned. Clay coins, he said. Painted. From the dye shed. Varco put a hand to his chest and made his face sad. Oh dear, he said. What a thing to find near a prince. But perhaps he learned tricks from a chicken. Perhaps he learned to scratch and to steal. Shame burned in Tade's cheeks. His wrists hurt. His heart beat like a drum. He looked up and found Sada's eyes. She made her face still. Her lips formed a tiny word, steady. Tade took a slow breath. He looked at the king. He bowed his head. Father, he said, tie me or free me. But do it in light, not in smoke. The king's eyes shone. Chief Obo, he said, tie him in a clean room and set a guard with clear eyes. We will see truth at moonrise. Varco laughed again. How soft, he said. Shall we give him palm drink too? The king turned his head. Lord Varco, he said quietly, in this hall you will say only what helps truth. If you spit, you will taste your spit again. For a breath, Varco blinked. Then his smile returned, thinner. Chief Obo led Tade to a small clay cell off the hall. The door was wooden bars. The floor was red earth. Moonlight would later fall through a high slit, but for now the room was half dark and cool. Obo tied Tade's wrists to the front, not behind him, so he could sit. I am sorry, Obo said. I hate rope, It is rope today, Tade said. It will be thread tomorrow. Obo left 2 trusted men at the door and went back to the hall. Tade sat on the floor and closed his eyes. He breathed like Elder Ikena had taught him, 4 counts in, 4 hold, 4 out. He counted the bars. He counted the lines in the wall. He counted his breaths until his chest did not ache. Tap. 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 He opened his eyes. He looked down. Near the edge of the bars, in the dust doorway strip, a familiar claw scratched one tiny stroke, then another. The hen was there. Maya was there. She did not step all the way into the cell. She stood just outside and worked with care. Her right claw moved, quick and fine. Her beak tapped once when a line needed a dot. Tade bent low to read. Key ring hook. Left of door. Short shadow. He looked at the door frame. On the left side, under a rub of old dirt, a little iron hook sat, almost the color of clay. On it hung a thin iron ring with a single key, painted brown. It hid like a gecko. Tade smiled, small and real. You are a lantern, he whispered. The hen scratched again. Spear latch. Slide up. Not down. Tade pressed his face to the bars. He felt for the latch. It looked like it would drop, but it moved better when he pushed up. He nodded. I will not run, he whispered. I will not break the hall. I only need to breathe in the right place. Maya tapped. Tap, tap, tap. Then her claw wrote one more line, slower, careful as a needle. Word to speak. I forgive. Tade stared at the words. His mind ran through faces, the guard with the scar who had once kicked at a hand, the clerk with the shaking hands, the boy with the twisted wrist, the men who moved the cart, even Darren with his smooth smile, even Okoma with his loud pride. I will speak it, he said. But to who? The hen scratched 3 dots, then a short dash, then 3 dots again. It was their little way to mean, to the one who hurts you now. Tade felt something like a stone lift inside him. It hurt to lift it, but when it moved, the air in his chest grew wider. A step sounded in the hall. The hen slipped back into shadow and vanished behind the wall jar like a dry leaf. The guard at the door coughed and looked in. Do you need water, my prince? He asked. Yes, Tade said. Please. The guard brought a small cup. His hands did not shake. Tade drank, then said, There is a key on the left. I will not run. But the door is held in a trick way. We will need it soon in light, not now in dark. The guard looked and saw the little hook and key. He grunted, surprised. H&H, he said. Masks love hidden hooks. He tucked the key into his sash. Outside, the hall filled again. Drums rolled once to clear the air. The sun fell lower. The moon waited behind the roof line like a big eye about to rise. Varko walked through the crowd and dropped words like seeds that he hoped would grow fast. The quiet one speaks to birds. The quiet one hides coins. The quiet one is soft, soft men break, he whispered. But the cart rattle and the thread seal and the market song had already moved through the city. Not all ears held Varko's seeds. Some fell on stone. Some fell in water and sank. In the small cell, Tade sat cross-legged. He said the 2 laws again, without greed. Speak truth. He added the 3rd word the hen had given him, forgive. He heard 3 soft taps in the hall, not on the floor this time, but on wood. Tap. 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 Elder Ikena stood at the cell door. He did not enter. He only placed the palm-ash bowl on the ground where Tade could see it through the bars. Your father chooses at moonrise, Ikena said, voice soft. Do you have your word? Yes, Tade said. It is small. But it is heavy. Ikena nodded. Small and heavy words are the kind that hold doors open, he said. When the moon's first light touches the sun ring on the throne, speak. Do not look at faces. Look at the ring and the truth. He lifted the bowl and left. His sandals whispered on the clay. Evening slid into gold. Shadows grew long fingers. Torches lit the pillars. The moon climbed and made a wide silver road across the yard. Chief Obo came to the cell with the two honest guards. He held the key the first guard had tucked into his sash. He looked at Tade through the bars. When the king lifts his hand, Obo said, I will open. Walk with me. Do not run. Walk like a man who knows his feet. I will walk, Tade said. They waited. In the great hall, the king stood with help and faced the people. He raised his hand. The drums stopped. All mouths went quiet. The moon's first edge rose above the roof and dropped a silver coin of light on the sunring crest at the top of the throne. Chief Obo turned the key. The spear latch slid up. The door opened with a clean wooden sigh. Tade stepped out, calm and straight. Rope still hung loose at his wrists. Obo cut it with one clean slice and dropped it like a dead snake. They walked together into the hall. The crowd parted. The air felt cold and hot at once. Varco smiled like a knife. Here is our bird prince, Varco said. Tade did not look at Varco. He looked at the ring on the stool. He looked at the sun ring on the throne back. He looked at the king. He stopped a pace short of the stool and lifted both hands, open and empty. My king, he said, wisdom in an unlikely place taught me a word. His voice was not big. It did not need to be. The hall leaned into here. My word is this, I forgive. Silence fell like a cloth. It was not soft. It was deep. Tade kept his hands open. He felt the heat in his chest try to rise. He let it pass. I forgive the guard who took rice and came back, he said. I forgive the clerk who took coin and told truth. I forgive the boy who shouted when a mask told him to shout. And he looked at the left arch now, not with anger but with a steady face. I forgive Lord Varco, who hurt a maiden and now tries to hurt a city. A sound like wind moved through the people. Some gasped. Some cried out. Some put hands to mouths. Varco's face changed, just a little. He had not planned for mercy. He had planned for fire. Tade did not touch the ring. He only said, clear and simple, let truth stand. And as the moon's silver grew, a small golden flash moved at the edge of the crowd. A golden buff hen slipped through many legs like a soft fish in reeds. She leapt. Her beak caught the signet ring. The ring lifted from the stool. The hall held its breath.